November 12th, 2020. It's day 242 of lockdown and restrictions here in British Columbia, Canada. I live in a small town a few hours drive inland from Vancouver in the Okanagan region of British Columbia. And I've been reporting on my experiences with this lockdown since day one, which was in the middle of March of this year. So today I want to talk about masks primarily, but I wanted to start off by mentioning that there is a stricter than ever new, what they call red zone lockdown coming to all of British Columbia soon. And the Vancouver area has already banned all non-essential travel, socialization, family, business, sport, outside of the people that you currently already live with, and more. I'm not mentioning all of it. There's more to the restriction than that. They're closing businesses, and it's all enforced by fines and police as required. That's a heavy lockdown. That's heavier than it was the first round, and the number of deaths, I must say, are tiny compared to what they were in the first round, which also did not really overwhelm the healthcare system or really do much more than seem like it was a flu really that came through British Columbia. But the second round now is even smaller, and the restrictions are much more draconian. We've been under a state of emergency since beginning of March, when they declared a state of emergency back then, and they renewed it every 2 weeks. It's just getting quieter each time. They don't really even hardly mention it, like, another 2 weeks extension, 2 weeks extension. We are in a permanent state of emergency, which gives government all power and all control. And it removes the people's rights, which are only, rights because they've been granted by government, which tells you something in the first place. But, it is scary even just to have those crappy rights officially removed from us right now. So we're sitting ducks right now. If anything else happens, we are not ready for it. We aren't prepared. We don't have any rights. We are locked down. And, Ontario, Quebec, the same goes for all the provinces in this once great land. Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, right? The narrative and the response is the same. In medicine, and I can quote this, I guess, because I did 10 years in medicine, we must first do no harm. I wasn't a doctor, by the way. I was in nursing. My specialty was in extended care and psychiatry, extended care being the elderly, and psychiatry, that's where I worked mostly. So, I'm not a doctor. I wasn't a doctor, but I did study medicine, and I still do study medicine. And one of the things in medicine is first do no harm, and they really are supposed to take that to heart, not just say it. It's supposed to be a real vow that they do. And apparently that doesn't cover things like lockdowns, because lockdowns are killing millions and harming millions of people all over this planet right now. That cannot be denied. And the suicide rates are just through the roof. People are not getting their cancer treatments, and they're dying, and so many other things. Mental illness, through the roof. Everything. Terrible, terrible consequences of lockdowns on the people. These innocent people, right? These people have done nothing wrong. Most of them aren't even sick with COVID-19, and even if they were, is that their fault? But we are killing and harming millions of people with this lockdown. And the other thing is masks, which do cause harm, both to the individual and to society. I'll put a link down below to I think about 25-minute video that I recently watched. It's on the website of America's Frontline Doctors.com. And you may remember them. They were banned on YouTube and had to move to BitChute and other alternative platforms. And they have their own website now, of course, where they host their own videos, so they can't be banned there. And you can go and see their original broadcast, which you may remember was a press conference, a bunch of doctors in white coats and stuff, all looking official and stuff. But these are real doctors, and if you go into I was a little skeptical at first, but these are real doctors, and they just do seem to be liberty-minded people that are basically kind of like engineers and architects for 9/11 kind of thing, but this is doctors for COVID truth kind of thing, sort of. That's what I'm getting out of it anyway. But their numbers are growing, and they are evidence-based, which is what the establishment doesn't like. They actually have, evidence behind it, and these are actual scientists and doctors. They don't just say, there's a study out, quote, 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 experts say. No, they've actually gone. A lot of these people have done the research, and most of these people, like I said, they are frontline doctors. That's why they call themselves that. So these people these doctors are seeing people with COVID, and they're treating them, and they're getting them better on hydrochloroquinone and zinc and vitamins and sunlight, and vitamin D is very important. And this is, they're saying that it doesn't need to be the way it is. There doesn't need to be people dying as they are dying. Almost nobody needs to die of COVID. And they also break down a lot of myths, like around masks. So the video I'll link to down below is about masks, and I watched that yesterday as masks are becoming more and more and more mandated everywhere here, and I have not worn one yet, and I don't want to wear a mask. And I have many reasons for that, and one of it is I think it dehumanizes people, and I think it makes us scared of each other. It makes us feel like our breath, our very just being near us can make other people sick, and it's not healthy for us. We're all living in a state of paranoia and fear and almost hatred of other people. You can see people online making comments and saying, I just want to take a sledgehammer and smash somebody in the face when I see them not wearing a mask in public. That's scary. That is scary. So there's a real divide happening here between people who think that everyone should be wearing masks and people who think that, like me, I think people should be allowed to wear masks if they want, but they shouldn't be allowed to force anyone else to wear masks. And the doctors break down the myths about masks and about, if they do have any benefit or not. And they talk about that in this video, and there's a lot of good information presented there. So, and they've been adding to their website with different videos on all the various topics that are going on right now. It's all very salient, all very up to date. And so you can go browse through their website. They have a bunch of different presentations up now. And they've done 2 now major announcements in front of, I don't remember where they were, maybe out by the White House or somewhere, but they were in the background, but they were doing big presentation where they had 20, 30 doctors all standing there, and they each gave a bit of background, what they do and what they've seen with COVID so far, and their beliefs on the various things. And it's really good to hear from a bunch of actual frontline doctors. And so today I went to my chiropractor. I have some health issues. Let's not get into it, but back pain is definitely one of those things, especially in the past couple of years. So I have lately been going to a chiropractor. Now in BC you have to pay to see a chiropractor. It's not covered under regular medical, but I kind of like that about it, because when you go to, say, that a GP or something like that, or a clinic doctor, you really get what you pay for. And if it's free, quote, free healthcare, it really isn't that good. They don't have any time for you. They don't really, and it's all just about getting you on a prescription or something like that. It's all a formula. It's all a money-making thing. There's no real doctor-patient care there anymore like there used to be in healthcare, except when you go and pay to see a doctor. In Canada, one way to do that is to see a naturopath or a chiropractor or someone else like that. They have a medical degree, but they aren't necessarily on board with the same, pharmaceutical-based approach that the rest of the healthcare system is on. And let's not get too far into that. But so when I see my chiropractor, he is an evidence-based practitioner. He follows the science, he looks at the studies, he reads up on the latest, what's going on, what the research is. And he also sees, as a frontline doctor, he sees, firsthand. And so we've had some decent conversations. You only have a few minutes with him each time as he works on your back, but he does, he gets to know you a bit each time, and he talks to me about stuff. And he has said that he has a friend who is in epidemiology. So they study infectious illnesses. And this guy says there has been, year over year, no more deaths in 2020 than there have been in past years here in British Columbia. It's the same. It's just that maybe COVID-19 is one of the bugs that's killing more people now this year than other things, but the same number of people are dying. Less people are dying of other things like other flus and other infectious bugs. So that's interesting to hear. Another thing my chiropractor says is that he thinks the masks are about control and fear. He actually is on board with this. And so I recommended to him today when I was there, I said, have you seen America's Frontline Doctors.com? And he paused for a second and then he says, actually, yeah, I have. And then we got interrupted. But then later I was talking to his receptionist and I gave her the link and I told her to look it up. And she is a person that doesn't wear a mask also. She has an exemption. And we were talking about that. And then I said, look up this Frontline Doctors. And she says, actually, Dr. said his name, was looking at that this morning. I saw him watching that this morning. So that fills in the story. So he has been watching that. And when I mentioned it, that's why he said, oh, actually, yeah, I had heard of that. He is aware of that. And so it's really, really interesting to see that at least in the non-mainstream medical communities, like chiropractic and massage therapy and naturopaths, these kind of doctors are aware because they're evidence-based, not just statist-based medicine, that something's going on and the masks actually do not work. They not only don't work, but they are causing harm. And so it's very important that we spread that information. And one thing I would recommend to people is, grow a pair. And I'm talking to myself here too. What we have to do is we have to get some balls, really. And when people say, hey, you can't come in here without a mask, you say, no, I can't wear a mask. And you don't have to tell them why. You just say, I can't wear a mask. I can't. And if they tell you, then you're out of here, or they block your way or whatever, I guess you got to make your decision then. But a lot of times they will just say, okay. And we need to do that en masse so that becomes normal, so that it becomes a voluntary thing. They can say mandatory, but it ain't mandatory because the people will not put up with it. And if we don't put up with it, it won't happen. In my small town so far, in a lot of places, it isn't happening. A lot of people want it to, a lot of people don't. And so now is the time to vote with your feet. Your actions matter. What you do locally matters. If you go out and you strap a diaper over your face just because everyone else is doing it and you don't want to be looked at or whatever, you're weak. That's weak. That's wrong to do. You're hurting the rest of us. You're harming the rest of us. We have to act in solidarity now. If you need to wear a mask, then do it. Absolutely. Or better yet, stay away from people. Stay home if you can, right? But if you have to wear a mask, but don't look at other people funny because they aren't wearing one. There's many reasons why someone can be not wearing a mask. Many, many legitimate reasons. And you don't know. And you can't ask that person to explain themselves. And no one at a door, a guard or whatever, can say, you have to explain yourselves. You don't have to explain yourself if you say, I can't wear a mask. You don't really have to have an exemption from a doctor note folded up in your pocket. It's a bluff. They don't have to know that. And you don't have to show them, ever. My wife actually has a medical exemption, but she doesn't bring it with her when she goes out. She just does it the same as the rest of us are supposed to do. She just says, no, I can't. She doesn't want to have to bring it, flash the card, She doesn't want to have to say, pull the card that I have a pass or whatever, to not do that. She doesn't want to have to. And that's she's got balls. That's strong of her, because it takes balls to do this day in and day out when you're going out for groceries or to get stuff for the baby or whatever. We don't get stuff delivered to the house. We don't buy online. We have to go out and haul stuff back to the house from here. We don't have a car. When you go out to a place and you can get turned away for various reasons at the door, that can be a real problem. and it's a long walk home with nothing sometimes. So we are really trying to stock up for winter here at our house when time and money allows, and it is getting a little bit weird with the masks, but we have to have some courage. We have to stand up and say, no, I don't want to put on the mask. I'm not wearing that mask. And if we get denied at places, then we get denied at places. And we need to educate people. They don't work, and they're causing harm. That is the truth. They don't work. You will not go into a biolab where they're dealing with harmful known viruses and see anyone in a bandana. You won't. They will be wearing full-on hazmat suits because that is what it takes to reliably stop a virus. You can't stop it with any number of layers of fabric. If you can breathe through it, the virus is going right through it with your breath. That's how it works. It doesn't have to be on spit particles. It just goes on your breath in aerosol. And it's way, way too small to be blocked even by those N95 masks. Nothing works except a full-on hazmat suit. And that's not how we're going to live our lives in society, in full-on hazmat suits. Bubble boys, everybody. No. So we got to put our foot down. This is social engineering. There are people in the healthcare system that are aware of this and that are on our side. You know, they can't really speak up because their jobs, their professions will be yanked away from them. But more and more and more, they are being willing to talk about it with their patients. And I have a doctor now that is willing to talk about this kind of stuff with me. And that's good. That's, you know, stuff is changing. Things are changing fast right now. That wouldn't have happened a year ago in this small town. So, you know, things are happening, things are changing. There is a major lockdown coming. I don't think there's going to be Christmas this year. I think that it will be canceled essentially everywhere. It will be canceled, and it will be virtual. And what virtual means is canceled, because for a lot of people, they don't have computers or they don't have internet. Or like me, they won't put their face on the internet. They don't do like Skype and stuff. So what you know, it's a text-based internet then for me, isn't it? I'm sending emails, I guess, to my family. No, it's not happening. It's a non-Christmas. It's canceled, is what that means. So there is major consequences, not just to Christmas, obviously, but to lockdowns and to the changes in society and culture that it's bringing. And this is our time to put a foot down. So hopefully this video gives you some ammunition, some courage to do that, some motivation. I hope that you will join me, and the more of us that do this, the better the outcome will be in the future for us and for our children. So now is the time to act, and this is one way that we can do that. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you guys soon. Stay well.